really fun to watch this actually play on a stage. And how does that affect them? Are they able to still play at that high level?
A little bit of a fright, but they calmed their nerves very, very quickly. It was, yeah, really, really well repaired, I suppose you could say, for Hatyara crew. And I mean, are they just going to keep winning, right? They've got 2 rondos to play. One of them's coming up next. If they have big rondos here, it is just like fully done and dusted for everybody else in this lobby.
Yeah.
And what that does mean is that second place becomes more volatile. Sure, Boars and Kodiak kind of a bit neck and neck right now, but there's still an outside chance for people to catch them. Same is not true for Hatyara crew. We're going to have a couple of highlights from that last match. I'm sure plenty of them are going to come from Hatyara crew. We'll be back with Rondo after this. The unstoppable train has left the station. It seemed to have left yesterday. It was just pulling out, but now that puff of smoke off in the distance is starting to fade over the horizon. Hatyara crew are just unstoppable at this point. Getting a chicken dinner to open the day. They have now got a Rondo ahead of them. They are almost 50 points ahead. It's a battle for second place. It is at this point. That's what we have.
Yeah. The unstoppable train has left the station. Had it So it stopped.
Well, it has to be built at some point, right? It has to be created. You know, once you get it started, then it's gonna.
So it's left yesterday. It left yesterday, is what you're saying.
It started. I think this metaphor is getting away from me like a bit of an unstoppable train. So let's move forwards from it.
No, you're right though. It left yesterday and it hasn't stopped to today. Okay, that's all you've got to say. We're fine. We're good to go. We can continue, and so can they. Me and John were having a little conversation before this as well. This is abnormal. It's very unusual to see this kind of performance from any team. And I think you bring up a good point, John, that they are playing to this lobby, right? This is what you were talking about. They're playing to the lobby. They know that they're better than everyone else, so they're just taking every single fight. And if that means shifting out over towards the blue to clear out space on the side, great news. And you can sort of tie that back into the final game of knockouts, where Kodiak was able to take down almost every single team in the lobby on that Sosnovka within the space of 10 minutes. Like, they ran through 9 teams in the space of 10 minutes, which is very impressive. But again, I think it's Hatyara crew realizing this and be like, well, why don't we just do that every game?
Yeah, and it's worked out really very well for them. Rondo as well, we know what a slobber knocker this map can be. We got 99 eliminations on it yesterday. Will we see more? Will we break that century of elim points earned? We got 2 Rondos today, and this will be the first of them. And our plane paths are dueling. We've got 2 of them in the skies again, this time around blank, as our plane paths seemingly lean a little bit more towards the north side of this map. Maybe a little bit harder to get down towards areas like Rinjiang and Tinlong Gardens on the south.
This is actually not the greatest double plane paths, mostly for our western teams. The teams jumping out here are going to have a little bit more difficulty getting towards easier places on the map, quickly at least. For our teams that are dropping on that north side, they're able to get over towards Test Track, Neox Factory a little bit easier. But majority of teams are dropping from that western edge, and there is a notable amount of squads that didn't drop for about 10 seconds, and now suddenly everyone's flooding out the plane right now.
I wonder where they're going. Interestingly though, Hatyara crew over all on the west, not getting stuck into any of these fights. There is obviously also the group of players heading over towards Yulin on that western side. So 2 real hotbeds. As Stadium is reoccupied by the Boars. They didn't go there yesterday, so they are now back in action there. It was a little bit of a hot drop yesterday, actually, and plenty of players sending out there. Expect to see a lot of solos playing over towards these recall towers, blank, as well. They're going to be sending out their outposts trying to find those points where they can. A spray down, 1 earned already for Vincere Mortem. I think there's been plenty of elims already starting to come through as well, as our teams do sit within the circle while they're in Neox Factory.
Yeah, so this is going to continue because of that factor, right? Where there really isn't a lot of teams that are going to be leaving Neox Factory too soon. This is going to go down to the bitter end, John, until 1 team does remain. PUBGM Esports up against the guys from Team Demon. This is over towards that south side of Yulin. Seems like this is the other spot on the map that teams love to hot drop in. And I guess it's the only real option you had if you were on that western plane path.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you'd be a little bit late to Neox Factory, right? Which is the difference maker. You cannot be dropping in after people have already hit the ground. If you know the other plane path there, you know everyone else is going to be going there. So unless it's a solo plane path, you're just not going to send out towards the Neox Factory. And instead, you'll make that decision there on the fly, which is nice to see that all of our teams seemingly made what might be called a correct decision. Demons on the staircase, looking to hold pretty well. 1, 2, 3 on the spray down. All right, able to do it with the teammate at his back. 2 players able to hold the 3 as they try and roll up the stairs. Demon able to hold off in the temple. Gods Reborn now with a fight over in Neox Factory, trying to fend off against it, and the strafe across is brilliant against 1715, and they play off one another beautifully. These duos are operating pretty flawlessly in these situations now, Blank.
Yeah, just a couple of sprays, and that's 6 elims added to our tally. Interestingly, Hatyara Crew doesn't really ever hot drop. They're one of our few teams that doesn't do that. I think outside of Boss Gaming, they're one of the only teams that doesn't do that. So they're playing down towards Fengtun, with Boss Gaming over towards Stadium. So yeah, definitely curious, and speaks to maybe how some of our better teams see Rondo, is that, you know, if you can have a consistent result and you're confident to win out in that end game, there's plenty more points to be had.
Certainly is, but I mean, the points are just going to continue to rack up right now. Demon, unfortunately, can't find the shots onto Far Voice Gaming, so they're going to lose the majority of their players. They are now down to 2, but they've already got 2 over on the northwest side, very far away. They can get a recall tower, no bother. You can see our player counts just filling back up as time goes on. SWAT Europa, they're down a player, but they are moving out from Neox Factory to look for those recall towers. Ritzy, using the slightly newer vaulting mechanic there, but just a little show jump for that one. Looking like a little bit of a...
It's sad to see the demise of DBS, man. It really is.
You know what? We'll see it come back, I'm sure, in the future. Like an old friend. Dakimi under the staircase. He's going to find 1 point in his way. They're going to get that shutdown, that spray down. Shum now trying to make no noise at all, pretending he doesn't exist upstairs. Now, they are a little bit on the surround. Teams are, to be fair, this is... I haven't counted up the elims right now, Blank, but I feel like this may be a little bit quieter than we're used to.
Yeah, well, again, that usually happens on the case of a double playing path, where this is the case. Also, don't really want to give up position in the circle, because remember, every time that you are rezzing, you're likely rezzing really far out on the zone. You can already see for Alp Esports, this means they've got a huge journey from Heme Town back down towards that southwest side. On the other hand, teams like Boars, who didn't hot drop in the first place, have a significantly good central position to play around.
Actually, Hatyara Crew tried to send into a very similar position just now, but they did manage to get some scouting, diverted north, and similarly entrench themselves, right? Whilst all of these teams are fighting for those elim points early in the match, this is why they've decided not to go for those hot drops. And when enough teams do go for hot drops, like you said, you're just putting so much pressure towards the outside that all of a sudden there's a vacuum on the inside, and strong teams will read into that, and that they are, again, playing the lobby. The Boars are doing it as well this time around, which I'm happy to see. But it goes back to what I was saying before about Hatyara Crew really just having a read on what people are trying to do with this one.
Yeah, also Boars, I say that they're one of the few teams that doesn't hot drop, but it's also a case they drop Stadium. Easily they could have had a lot of teams on them over towards Stadium side, but that's not the case here, so they get Stadium free to themselves. It did leave Terminus over there, holding on that north side, who is still looting, but I think he's more like a backup option. I don't know how worth it is leaving Terminus here. Yeah, you try and fight for your central spot, but eventually someone's going to roll through.
Yeah, I think Terminus is in a vehicle already now, so it's more likely that he's waiting for teams to push out from the middle than wait for people to roll through, as you said. And in fact, 1715 going to be rolling past right now. So some info gathered, sure, but we'll see if that's going to work out. Snowix finding the shots down towards Epsilon Axe, who really haven't been able to put on much of a show so far. To be fair, no teams really have been able to do that in the shadow of Hatyara Crew, with the exception of maybe Boars and Kodiak being able to earn those points. But yeah, it's It's been not the greatest of runs from the teams down towards the lower end, but I mean, we said it back at the end of those PMCO knockout stages. Even getting to this point is still such a massive achievement, and I think that sort of does go overshadowed when you have something like what Hakyara Crew is doing. Every single one of these teams does deserve to be here, and sure, when you look at a global level, maybe they're not quite up to scratch for that just yet, but it is very impressive what all of these rosters have been able to achieve, and I would be delighted to see them come back next season, keep trying, keep plugging away, because one day you are going to be Hakyara Crew. One day you are going to, well, I shouldn't say you are, you could be, is probably more what I'm getting at. So I think that they definitely shouldn't lose heart for not having the best of performances in these spots.
It's also tough. I mean, back in the day when we had PMPL as well as PMSL, we had 4 weeks of competition over multiple days, so there was way more time to practice and get a lot of experience over. But with PMCO, it's a little bit of a shorter format and a bit more of a brutal format, right? But I do highly encourage teams to keep going back for it, like you say, John, because this is a great spot to get that experience outside of playing those scrims. And there is a lot of PUBG Mobile scrims that go on all the time. That's a very good way to get more experience as well, as to play in those scrims. And they're very popular, actually. They're very popular scrims. So that is even if you maybe didn't make it through to knockouts, and maybe you're watching the show right now and you're like, well, what's the next step for me if I didn't join in on this PMCO and didn't get too far? Is play scrims. Scrims are a highly competitive format. They're always advertised in Discord, so yeah, just go for that. It's very, very easy to do.
Definitely can always use fresh blood to shake things up. We've had some very young players as well coming through from a lot of the European regions, as well as, I mean, across the world, right, who have just taken the scene by storm. So do make sure you are getting stuck in. Epsilon Axe do go down, do get eliminated. Hakyara Crew been defending from a central location. The Boars as well, seemingly having a little bit more to chew on. They've managed to get 4 elims, playing a little bit further south, and as 3. They had a knock sent their way. Ritzy have been rebuffed against their position, and Terminus is still yet to fully regroup. So kind of hedging their bets right now for Boars. They are still within access of a recall tower very, very quickly, should they need to go for one.
I mean, it's almost amusing, right? They've held into a central position, yet always had like this backup plan available the entire game. It's very nice to see. Hakyara Crew playing over towards the road. This is not a terrible place to play. It's a little bit scary sometimes, but you do have like the hillside on both sides of you, as well as this position that is really good for scouting. Like, this is one of the few positions on the map that just has a massive view distance across the area that really gives you a lot of information, that intel that Hakyara Crew loves to get.
Terminus is coming in because they've got a fight on their hands. Boars now against 1715. First shut down, second as well. Vagnazada, an immovable object in the way. And 1715 will not be able to bypass him. No skirting around the edge of that one. Robs does take a lick of damage there, but stays safe for the time being. And Taper will go down to the barrel of Vagnazada. Those cannons raining heavily on the ears of 1715. Take them out of the Rondo while the recall towers are still active.
Still a possibility. Get yourself back up again. It's a massively northwest shift on the circle, which is going to create some problems for our teams. Yulin is still technically in right now, so a place to play potentially for that late game. Havoc going up against Balls, who are still really putting in the work at the moment. That is a nice little spray down from Faker. Sadly, it's still the end of him. But yeah, many teams having to quickly rotate over towards that northwest side. And it is Hakyara Crew as well as Balls Gaming who are putting down... Ooh. Yeah, nice. Hidden maneuver. But yeah, they're putting down the flags right now. This is a difficult position to get through.
I'm surprised he didn't go for the flush on that one, to be honest. I feel like that's what you go for. You get that knock, immediately just try and spray that one down. Saw his teammates falling. Probably could have stayed in a little bit longer, but you are just risking getting spotted, and he did have someone dead to right, so yeah. A difficult spot. Gods Reborn going down as well. 7 elims found. So not a terrible result for them, but they are slipping further and further behind Boars and Kodiak. Boars up to 8 elims now as well, Blank. So they are pretty happy with this one.
Yeah, it's been a good game so far. They've got a great position to play around too. That is a fun area of the map as well, that compound. We've seen many a 1v4 in that area. It's like very much a TDM spot on the map. But for Boars, I imagine they have all the room in the world to play with, and they're not likely going to let teams get too close. It's in those instances where you get like a double crash, right? One team comes in and then another team tries a third party. For Hatyara crew, I think they're going to be happy just to try and sweep this northeast side. As long as they clear space there, they are laughing. They've got a lot to work around. And Calica, I think Calais currently playing high ground, which is a very, very good spot to play around with. But you do need to get there earlier in the match, which they certainly were.
Yeah, they've been able to hold this area for a long, long time now. Kodiak pushing in on the east side. It'll be interesting to see if Kodiak can keep up with the Boars right now, because they also have that really central position. They were able to get there so early, and now they're up on 8 elims. So yeah, difficult task lies ahead of them. A lot of the teams on the south, though, and I think that's really where a lot of the focus is going to be in terms of the conflict. SWAT trying to move in through the blue zone, which is going to start to really hurt. It's going to start to become unresable as well, so you really cannot afford to be staying out there. And look at the number of teams on that south side. Boars should be able to just pick this one out. The circle goes all the way down south as well, Blank. SWAT Europa crashing in behind the team in front of them. That is Team Demon losing their forward position. Potentially looking for an answer, though, and Alpi chiming in from those off angles.
Now, if we talk about global play, this is a game where Boars should win, right? If they don't win this game, it will be a big shame, in my opinion. I think if Boars wants to prove that, you know, they've had this bit of a rebuild on side with Snoix, Wagnazada, and Robs and Terminus, if they want to prove this rebuild has a lot of stock in it, this is a game they just have to win. Like, they've been gifted this one.
A real big opportunity, and they've already earned so many elim points for it as well. But Hatyara crew are starting to put the pressure out now. They need to start defending. They are no longer in that central area, so they need to control their northeast flank. And it looks like they are going to put out the feelers. Lazy moving over towards the approach from Ritzy on that northwest side. On the east, obviously, they're going to hear this start to unfold. And if they can, they'll get stuck in, but maybe they'll be denied the opportunity. Tornado down, now just Albana left standing on the inside for TBSS. No, he's not on the inside anymore. He's squared out towards the north side, and he is going to be pressured out of the position. TBSS down to 1. Technically, the recall towers are still here. Could go for it.
I mean, for Albana, this is a quick reset. Go again, right? Well, we're going to grab our death crates. We're going to get back up into the fight. Hatyara crew, Lazzy on his lonesome, looking over towards Ritzy. Taking some good shots. This is a position they were very well versed with. They scouted this out multiple times earlier. Smoke there. It's a cheeky smoke as well. We'll keep a lot of cover for the squad.
Ooh, I think this is on the northeast side. I think Momodal was dashing towards Albana, who is now at that recall tower, is very close by. The rest of Kodiak, they were looking to try and stop this recall coming through, but now 20 in the blue zone on the health bar that he has. Kodiak might just be done and dusted here. And Hatyara crew may have allowed TBSS back into the fight, and that may have been a bad decision for them. All 4 on the northeast side, they can actually parachute in quite a distance to try and get a little bit closer to this one. We'll see where they end up trying to go. Tornado very close to the blue zone, to the zone now, and could put the cat amongst the pigeons for Hatyara crew.
Yeah, if he has any loot that he can find, because he will have to get restocked fairly quickly here, John, which is not the easiest thing to do. Hatyara still playing on his 4. Lazzy keeping good control over towards Ritzy at the moment. The rest of the game is going to slow down massively now, though. And Cherry Mortem, Boars controlling the massive space towards the center.
They really do have a lot of control from their compound. I mean, Vincere Mortem on the south as well, with a decent chance at picking up points from that south edge. TBSS, yeah, they are going low, not able to get that full reset that they were hoping for. Certainly not in time to get into this next stage. The recall towers now are shut down. They will not be able to use them anymore. No one getting back up into this one. Tornado will fall. And that's how Yaraku picking up the points. Now they can start to flex south. Loco already got an outpost. This only helps the Boars more, but potentially Hat Yaraku on the east side could change things around if they get control of that roadside.
Hat Yaraku just, they have a ton of space to work with, but they need to start working down towards the southern edge now to figure this one out. Ritzy moving over towards Boars Gaming. This is where things get a little bit more exciting for us. I mean, for Boars, they would love to get rid of Ritzy as soon as possible. They don't want to leave it up to that point where other teams realize that this is sort of their only desperation plays to crash onto Boars' compound. What better time to crash than when there is another team in that area? Matt doing a good amount of work here versus the guys on Team Demon. Sadly, cannot find that shot.
Carlos will go down, though, to Seath, and Far Voice Gaming stay alive for just a moment longer. 3 players are there now through it all. Far Voice were preoccupied. Golden Guardians try and sneak through the middle. They're taking fire from Alpi, from Vincere Mortem, from the players on Far Voice, but they have managed to make it all the way across. The question is it safe there? When they find themselves at that location, Loco will have their number. The high ground will be there. Kodiak are eliminated as well, so the Boars will be able to open their points difference even further as the placements start to rack up. Spray down from Loco. Yeah, you're not surviving that. QWERTY will be going down. The question, does he manage to get that point? Yeah, he does. Okay. I thought that was going to get third party, potentially coming through from Alpi.
Lazzy just keeping tabs on things. That vehicle giving him a little bit of the spook. Well, if there's players there or not. Vincere Mortem still playing on that south side. The Hat Yaraku playing this pretty aggressive 2-2 split right now. Alpi Esports will be coming in from the south. Hat Yaraku, they'd love to get rid of Golden Guardians. They can do that, even more space to play around, and then they can take that inevitable fight with Alpi later on.
I mean, they don't need to rush doing it, though, against Golden Guardians. They have got a wide split right now. They're obviously not gearing up for a push. They know they're isolated on this side of the circle. So a lot of teams on the far side are going to have to take care of each other for them. Then they can maybe start to make their maneuvers. Boars, they've allowed Ritzy in on the north side, right? And the opening was there. Ritzy were able to take it. So the Boars are now really preoccupied with this. So having an oversight onto this fight could be quite a high point profit situation. But finding 77, yeah, okay. They weren't in a rush, but they do look to get it done anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, the quicker you can get it done, the better, right? Means that they're prepared for that southern push, because they absolutely know it's coming, and they would rather not have another player causing them problems during the entirety of it. Luckily for them, it might just be Alpi Esports who's going to deal with them for them. Said Lassie's the one to find a shot. They're trying to do you a favor, man. Leave it be.
Hey, you know, a knock's a knock. It's just added to those stats, you know, with 2 of their players competing for that top spot. They got to try and find as much as they can. Obviously, those knockout tallies going much better for Cali right now than Loco. So just wants to keep adding to those numbers. This does push out Yaraku into a sticky situation, though. With this circle, the Boars stay in, Vincere Mortem stay in, Ritzy, everyone on the inside. But Alpi and Hat Yaraku both have to move a little bit further forwards. Fortunately for Hat Yaraku, they're a little bit closer to things.
Yeah, it's not terrible at all, actually. I mean, for Vincere Mortem, next circle might be out. Next circle, Ritzy might be out. Next circle, Boars might be out. If this donuts a couple more times, then you have so much more space to work with Hat Yaraku. Again, it does become a little bit more important for them to get rid of Golden Guardians and Alpi Esports, but looks like Alpi Esports going to have a go at taking down Vincere Mortem on that southwest side, or at least have a peek over. So yeah, for Boars as well as Ritzy and Vincere Mortem, they have places to play which are secure. They are bunkered down, but Hat Yaraku, they can play a little bit more free and loose on that eastern side.
Alpi actually shifting over to the western edge here, so maybe the fight doesn't need to happen between them and Hat Yaraku. If they're going to make decisions like this, they're going to go in and try and join the back of the queue behind Vincere Mortem. Take a front-to-back fight rather than a long-range engagement. The nade over the top opens up with Shum finding that knock. No real answer. Ooh, okay. Golden Guardian is able to take one of the Hat Yaraku in the meantime as they do go down, but one of Hat Yaraku going down does change things a little bit as the nades continue to roll between these 2 squads on this side of the map. Shum getting enveloped by the rest of his team. The flush comes through for Jerry Mortem. Alpi faltering in their approach, not quite able to bridge the nade gap. Finally, Abito surges through with the vehicle, but Takimi is ready and waiting. Shum is still down, but he's got all his teammates around him to try and play around this one. Yara crew are taking shots towards their backlines, though, and that's going to clip the wings somewhat. Takimi nade to force Jakey out and into the fight and into the sightlines of the nades of the spray downs coming through from the rest of Jerry Morton, but they're only playing on 2 now, and Far Voice Gaming is stepping up into the fight.
Yeah, having a little look in. I mean, for Matt, why not? It's a good opportunity to get some points, to get some elims off the board. And it's a good one over towards Shum. This is littered in Doritos. Oh my god. Toblerones are out in full force here for the emergency cover flares. That actually becomes one of the most secure locations on the map because of that.
That's a crazy amount of utility being dropped on this spot, but brilliant. Fantastic. All right. Let's see if they can keep control of it. At the moment, it's still this Boars Ritzy standoff that is waiting to unfold. Yara crew have just completely encircled the entirety of the rest of this lobby. And they're waiting for anyone to step out of line. There you go. You see Far Voice Gaming. They step a little bit too far over the pulpit. And they get their block knocked off. This high ground is working so well for Yara crew.
Yeah, they have tons of area to play with. They did lose a player, though. I wasn't quite sure when that went down.
That was against Golden Guardians against player 1, the last player of Golden Guardians.
Oh, there you go. Should have got rid of him sooner. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right.
But for Yara crew, they can still play as 3. They are hoping for donuts, though. That's the way they win this game. Either a hard E shift or donuts. And donut, that is the one that they're looking for. That's a good circle shift. Goes straight center. They can still play around this. Keeps balls in, sure. But you're just hoping to continue to play this one out slowly. And the more worrisome this gets for the guys inside the compounds, the better. And Cherry Mortem, we'll see what they do next, because they have a big decision to make, right? Do they continue to push over towards that north side, or do they try and sweep out Hat Yara crew? And I think Hat Yara crew realizes that their best bet is likely a southern shift, so they do group up to stop this from happening.
Look at the amount of rounds being poured towards Hat Yara crew. They are on the roadside right now, so they have got terrain cover. Might be a little bit sparse on the vehicles. The full regroup came through. Sure, the Boars are still in on this northwest side as we refocus over here.
Nice shot.
Ooh, a nice little pickup over towards
Really nice shot.
Flush. Okay. That really opens things up a little bit. But what I was going to say is that it stops Ritzy from being in this one, and that forces this fight to start to unfold. So this means that the Boars are a little bit unsafe right now. 3 players within Cherry Mortem. Currently looking to push in on the south edge as well to potentially get involved on this fight. And it's a lot more available to them with the removal of a third sightline from Hat Yara crew on that north and on that east angle. They can make it all the way up.
Yara crew taking this opportunity whilst the action is all going down to slowly crawl their way in. For Boars, this is always going to happen eventually. Ritzy was going to have to move over towards them, so they're smoking everything off, making it so that Ritzy has to push into them. Makes a lot of sense here, but they are giving more ground than they're taking.
Ritzy pushing Boars to the east side, but is this the building that they want to hold? I mean, the runouts of this are going to be covered off completely by Calais and Lazzy as well. I think Cherry Mortem on the outside. I mean, Boars kind of have them up against it. There is one more circle still to show its hand. So potentially could allow them to stay in this one, but either way, it is going to be tough stuff. 2 players within Cherry Mortem. This move is just impossible if there's another player for Hat Yara crew. The fact he's able to get across there and play on that ridge is so useful, but Ritzy spot it out. That is nasty stuff coming through. And Ritzy going to slow the Cherry Mortem's roll. Boars now with 4 players looking to hold it all out.
Hat Yara crew still has 2 players. It's a minimal chance at best, but the circle does go their way. And for Cherry Mortem, Boars, and Ritzy, they all have to tear through one another until they can get out from this position. Like you said, for Boars, they set themselves up nicely over towards that eastern side. So it's more likely that Ritzy has to walk into them. I think it's a very smart maneuver from them. Been slow but tactical giving up of ground towards Ritzy, you know, getting them exactly where they want them. I said earlier, for Boars, this should be a win on the game. They had a really strong position to play around with. I think they set themselves up marvelously. And then the circle gave them a little bit of a push in the right direction, right?
Yeah, it's really helped them out there. I feel like Snowix is potentially a little bit of a weak point for them, but the Ritzy approach is immediately taken very low. Crispy is down, gets flushed as well. There has been a knock from the off angle, and Nade comes in and does find Snowix, so losing a player here for the Boars could be a little bit nasty. Remember, there's still Vincherry Morton with a duo on the outside to potentially get involved. Ritzy now down to 1. They have been choked out. The life has started to fade from their eyes, but they still have a little bit of a last hurrah. Spray down, a knock. Aim God able to land one through the door there. And looking in through the window, looks to find another. Terminus shuts it down. In the meantime, Blank, there was a knock over towards Lazion at Yara Crew, leaving them on 1. But the off angle is still strong from Calais. He's got a 1v2 on his hands now against the Boars, but there's still Dakimi from Vincherry Morton.
I think he actually is going to go try and pick him up here, which would make a lot of sense. Should be able to just shove this vehicle into the side of the rock.
Oh,
oh, it's a bit close. It is a bit close. Okay, we're fine. We're fine.
But this does really isolate the sightlines. Boars also back to 4 players. These reses come through on both sides. Dakini with a nice Molotov isolates the 1 player into the fight. Potentially the best he's going to get, but he stumbles around the girders there. Can't quite make it through. And 2 players behind the rock. They do deploy some cover, and maybe they've got a little bit of life left in them. Calais has 5 nades and 6 smokes here, so potential for a lot of maneuverability.
Nades are basically their best chance. This is their best chance of winning this game. Calais has had some of the best nades we've seen in this tournament so far. Knows roughly where Terminus is, and that's a difficult run out for him if he wants to head down. Little touch of damage. We'll send another. We're down to 2 nades after this.
That one looks pretty good, but again, it's just not quite got the damage. They're going to go 2-foot on the nade, really needing to find a knock, and that's why they're investing so much utility onto the single position. Of course, they know where he is, which does help. The stunner out the side to maybe slow things down. Underneath robs his feet. Does it go bang? No, not quite in time. Doesn't connect fully. Calais now denying the point. They deny the points to their closest competitors. Why not? I mean, the top 2 on the tables, and at Yara Crew, they don't get a chicken dinner. They still do really bloody well. And the Boars pick up a chicken dinner, much to the commiserations of Kodiak, who now are going to be so far behind as well.
I think it's slightly bad form to deny the points there.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, obviously not. But again, I think they're so far ahead that it doesn't really matter. But you respect it. You know, you're trying to play at the highest level as possible. You go for the points denial. Fair play. I think that, you know, they play that game to the bitter end. They play it to the bitter end. I think if they maybe lost a couple of a few knocks earlier on, because like I said, they could absolutely play it free and loose on that eastern side, but they played it a little bit too free. Because I do think that's a situation